Hey folks, I'm taking this episode to advertise for other podcasts. If you enjoy stories about the people behind the technology that we use, you should check out the Greater Than Code podcast. They focus on the human side of software development with stories of diversity and inclusion, accessibility from people that you don't normally hear from. Search for Greater Than Code in your favorite podcast app or check out greaterthancode.com. Hi, this is Scott Hanselman. This is another episode of Hansel Minutes. This is episode 769, recorded near Christmas, but you're listening to it on or after December 31st. So this is our 2020 wrap-up with my wife, Mo. Hello, Mo.
Hey, Scott Hanselman. How are you?
I'm very well. You've been on the show a couple of times before, sometimes because of a frantic guest being canceled.
Right.
Sometimes due to intense interest on your part.
Of course.
Are you always thrilled to be on the show?
Always stoked. Always.
Deeply excited about
That's
this
right.
right now. You're not. Right. You don't want to be here, do you?
Is my sarcasm that obvious?
Yeah. Okay. Well, you're here, so congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're like a repeat guest now. Okay. So this is the very last episode of 2020. So this is our wrap-up show. How's this year been for you?
Man, it has been a crazy year, but more importantly, how has it been for you?
This has been a butt. I would say the whole year, pretty much.
The scientific term for it.
Yeah,
it's been a butt.
Yeah, I'm gonna move the microphone back because we're a little loud. Yeah, it's pretty much sucked. Everything locked down in February. I haven't been on a trip since March. Not that that's like the worst thing. I didn't mean to list that out as the first thing or whatever. I'm just thinking about things that have changed.
Yeah, and that's pretty crazy because, you travel, not a lot, but, a non-zero amount. So how has working from home been for you?
Well, I've worked from home forever, but I try to explain to people that working remotely and working in quarantine are different. Like, people know that I go down to, the cafe, which is code for McDonald's, and I get a soda pop for $1, and I use their Wi-Fi, and I abuse their Wi-Fi.
Right.
That routine is gone, so I can't even go to, anywhere. All the little cafes and malls and cafeterias and all the places that you could want, spend 2 hours and work, that's all over.
Yeah.
So, and then the boys are here.
Constantly
which is a joy. Truly a joy.
What you've always wanted, right, parents?
Yeah. So we're just, we're trapped in this house, right? There's the fully trapped because there are people, we're in Oregon, which is not as bad as California, not as bad as New York. There are places that are worse. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, we do put on masks and we can go and go shopping or go to get weekly food and stuff. So, but there are those who have literally not left their house since March.
Yeah.
I would say America's not really killing it right now when it comes to being awesome with the virus.
Yeah, no, we're not. We're not. We're losing a lot of people to this virus, and it is very sad and very hard. Yeah.
And for context, you're a nurse. You've been a nurse for over half a decade, and you have also been working actively in the COVID wards. So you are a medical surgical nurse by training, but also now, because COVID is a new thing, you have had those responsibilities as well.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a new thing for you, right? You haven't dealt with highly contagious, put on a mask, multiple levels of mask. And what's the difference? I guess let me rephrase. What's the difference between being a regular medical surgical nurse and being a nurse when there's a lot of potential infection?
Yeah, no, we have had patients before, so the donning of the PPE is not new.
What is PPE?
PPE is the personal protective equipment. That's all your gowns and your masks and all that stuff that you wear when you're going to a room where a patient is potentially likely to infect you if you're not protected. So that in and of itself is not new, but when you're on the COVID ward, you're doing that with every single patient that you have, and that is exhausting. You've got to cover up. There's no, I forgot something, I forgot to put on my mask or my face shield or whatever, because that is potentially dangerous. So that's been hard. It's been hard.
Okay, so when you say it's not new, that means that if someone has tuberculosis or some other thing,
we were already having to use PPE. It's just now that on the COVID floor, every patient on that floor you need to gown up for, and that is tiring.
And people have asked, since I've got type 1 diabetes, actually someone asked if we were quarantined, do you sleep in the garage?
No, I don't. I don't sleep in the garage. But I am meticulous about how I take care of myself when I'm on the job, and especially when I'm coming home. I've got a different set of shoes that I wear, and I don't bring those shoes into the garage. I leave them in the car and whatnot. I mean, it's disinfect everything, wipe everything. It is a process. It's exhausting. The first time you do it, when you do it for one day, you can kind of, you're like, yeah, it's bad, but I can get through it. Man, when you do it week after week after week, it takes a toll. And so you just always have to keep reminding yourself. And it's easier for me because I always think of the kids. This is what we do it for, right? Is to keep the kids safe. So that's what works. But there's so many little, unforeseen little, like, price that you pay. Like my hands are dry all the time. And I know all people in healthcare are seeing this, where of course we always washed our hands before, and of course we always sanitized and everything else, but now we're doing it so much more and so often. I mean, my hands are just dry, or my hair, for instance, I wash my hair twice a week. I've got locks, and now every single time I'm on that COVID floor, I'm washing my hair again and again and again, just to make sure that I don't, heaven forbid, come
and that's
home with something.
For context. I wash my hair every day. My hair's oily, your hair's dry, so it's not good for locks to be washed every day.
Yeah, no, it just kind of strips the nutrients and all that stuff. So anyway, just little things. But again, at the end of the day, I think as long as you are healthy, being a nurse gives you that perspective. And what a privilege and what an honor to be able to take care of people and to help them during these very, very difficult days. And make no mistake about it, when you are in that hospital, we don't let people on the COVID floor have visitors for the most part, obviously, because of the potential for infection. So if you can imagine, you are going through such a crisis, and on top of that, you can't have your wife there, or your husband there, or your kids there, or your friend there. It makes the job that much harder. But people are just hanging in there and we're doing what we do. Okay, but anyway, so that's my perspective. How has COVID been for you?
Well, I mean, everything is in limbo. The whole year, it feels like, we've talked about this. Everyone jokes about how it feels like March. It's March 268th or whatever, Time has no meaning. Holidays are a mess. Thanksgiving was a non-event. We're going to have, you're listening to this, the audience is listening to this on December 31st, but we'll be having Christmas on the 20th because you're going to work Christmas Eve night and Christmas Day. So the date doesn't matter anymore. It's just a random Thursday or whatever it is. That kind of just sucks. Like everything is on pause. We were supposed to be in Spain.
Yeah.
This summer. This was the summer of my, what's the word? Sabbatical.
Yep.
Yeah. So I was going to take off 3 months and we were going to live in Spain and get my Spanish better than Chipotle Spanish. And,
yours and mine, the boys'
is Spanish. And we were going to we had a whole plan. Now, again, here we are. We were mourning. It's important to note that we are aware that we're mourning the year that was not.
Yeah.
When certainly we should be mourning many hundreds of thousands of people who are dead and millions worldwide. But in the interest of selfishness, this has been difficult, particularly the Zoom school.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about that, having the kids go to school from home, which is what Oregon is doing. They're calling it the distance learning program. Schools are shut down in our school district, so there is no choice of going to school. They're doing it by Zoom.
And this is our 15-year-old's first year of high school. Mm-hmm. And, he's a freshman. For those that are overseas, that's Form 1 or your ninth grade.
First year of high school.
First year of high school. Mm-hmm. So he's got this year would be 4 more years until college or university. So even though, he's small because he's the youngest now, he's gone from being the biggest in the middle school to being the smallest in the high school. So I was kind of hoping that he'd have that experience of wandering the halls as a smaller person with all the seniors walking around him and that kind of overwhelmed giant thing. That's not happening. Now it's just everyone's the same size in a square. Yeah. There's no social life. The kids are not hanging out.
Yeah, and it's been very interesting because he was so excited about going to high school, and now it's just been a whole different experience altogether. I was asking him, I said, have you made new friends? I mean, he's got his friends from his middle school, but boy, I guess it's pretty difficult to make new friends via Zoom. And he's just kind of been like, nope, I know the people I knew coming in, and that's been about all.
Right.
That I've done. But how has the learning from your perspective, how has his learning been going?
I'm supposed to interview you, man.
Oh, well, it's a team, right? I don't know.
You keep turning it around. Who's in charge of this interview? The I've been impressed with the different websites and little bits of JavaScript that will do like physics. So he's taking like AP physics, advanced placement physics. And what that means is, it's like a little advanced for his age. And I thought he would be doing labs, and those labs would have like, take a little plastic car and roll it down a ramp. But instead he has to do that in a graphical way in a browser. But every website is not integrated with every other website.
Yeah.
So he goes to Google Classroom and he signs in, he goes to Zoom and he signs in, he goes to Canvas and he signs in, and he goes to some random physics website and looks at a picture of a tiny car. And then that's supposed to give him a sense of what physics is like.
Yeah, it's been hard. It's been hard really to get kids to understand the material remotely like that. But shout out to all the teachers and the educators and the staff in the school districts for all the work that they're doing, because they had to scramble too. I mean, I know it from a hospital point of view where we were scrambling. Nobody saw this coming. And I know that the school districts and everybody else, didn't get a warning, a 6-month lead time to say, hey, you guys, in March 2020, this is going to be coming your way. It felt sudden, so they've been doing the best they can under very difficult situations. But I remember one particular time, Z, that's the high schooler, came to me and he said, Mom, I need your help with my physics, and I said, go to your dad. Your dad's an engineer. And he looks at me and he says, I did. He says, you have a master's degree, so you can help me. So
yeah, I am learning physics. I am relearning physics that I learned 30 years ago again.
Yep.
And I'm kind of going, I think that's how it works. And then, geometry.
Yeah.
He was doing geometry, and then I was trying to remember, and people are I'm going to get letters or viewer mail or whatever from this.
Hate
because,
mail.
well, there are those that like truly deeply understand calculus and have it in their brains or whatever. Yeah. But I was trying to understand something about a triangle, and then you yelled out SOHCAHTOA. Yeah. Remember? Sine, opposite versus adjacent, and hypotenuse. And I haven't thought about that mnemonic for sine, cosine, and tangent in at least 2 decades, maybe 3. But it came out of the archives we're really learning a lot of this stuff with him. But we're relearning. Didn't you feel like you're like,
you're right.
It came out of my brain like a sandworm. It was just like, whoa, SOHCAHTOA. And it's like, oh, that's how that works.
Yeah. Well, the middle schooler, just switching gears for a second, it's a little easier with him because his brother went through it not too long ago. So I feel like his material is still kind of in there in our heads. We still have to pull it
you're
up
happy we have 7th grade material in our head, but freshman year is gone?
No, but physics, come on, we didn't get it.
Did you take physics? I don't think that was your thing.
I took it. Yeah, it wasn't my thing then. It's not my thing now.
But high school or college, your master's is in business.
Yeah, no, obviously not physics, but I did high school physics, and I wasn't a fan then, And
you're not a fan of the laws of physics?
Still not a fan now. No, the laws are fine, but as far as
I'm glad you approve of the laws.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, they'll do.
No, but like the equations that describe them, you're just like, whatever.
Yeah, it's just, I'm not one who thinks everything is for me, right? There are certain things that I enjoy and other things that I just don't enjoy, and physics is not intuitive for me. So
you've got the math, though.
So, the math, yes, but you're very good at putting it together. So it makes me think of the parents who are single parents and how hard they are working. I have a friend who's a single parent, and she's just constantly, she's everything. You're the mom, you're the dad, you're everything to that child, and you're the tech support, and you're also, you're the tutor. You're just
having two of something. Forget about mom versus dad or whatever role this is. It's just having an extra person or two.
Yep.
In the house where it's like, okay, this is the person I'll turn my head to, and they'll be like, hey, do you know what sine is or whatever?
Exactly. Or even not just school related, but when you're tired and you're done, Mm-hmm. I can say to you, I'm done. I am over these 2 boys today for this hour. These are your children. Take them.
These are your children.
And I can either, remove myself and go to my room and close the door or whatever, decompress, yoga, whatever you got to do. But it is awesome to have somebody who can help you. I think if there's one thing that I'm taking away from 2020, it's how important community is to us, you and I in particular. It's been hard. It's been hard to be cut off from people, even though they're here. They're not really here anymore. So anyway, but yeah, lots to talk about there. We also celebrated our 20-year anniversary. Happy anniversary, Scott Hanselman.
Thank you very much, Mo Hanselman, Mrs. Hanselman. 20 years.
Yeah.
Of putting up with me.
I am a saint. Let it be known.
No, but how's that working out for you? Do I get another 20? Are we cool? Is there anything I need to know about?
Yeah, And this is the forum in which I want to have that
Well, I
conversation
figure with the pressure of recording, it's unlikely that you won't renew me for another year.
I love it. No, look, I mean, 20 years, it's just, does it feel like it's been 20 years?
Feels like 25.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, you walked right into that one. Huh?
No, it doesn't. Like, this is the thing, though. Like, I'm going to be, we're not 50, but we're not 50, if you know what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You know, we can see 50 coming, and I still feel like I'm 29. I'm just kind of a swollen 29.
Around 29.
I would just rounded.
Oh, well.
Rounded off square. I'm just saying. I'm not fully round yet, but
Rubens-esque.
Yes. Rubens-esque. Thank you for that gift. No, you know, like, I still feel 26. This is the thing. I mentor these young people, early in career people that are under 30. And you're going to feel 30 for 20 years if you do it right. And then hopefully for 80 years. I'd like to feel 30 for as long as possible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just got to stretch.
True. Well, the boys had their birthdays. Both of them had their birthdays in November. And I remember thinking, I actually remember us going to the hospital to have them. You know, we've been together that long. And
well, yeah, I hope we were together that long.
We stopped.
Tell the subway story. Okay. So you're in labor with which one? The older?
With Z, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
you're in labor with the older.
Yeah.
And if I remember, your water broke.
Well, I wasn't in labor. Yeah, my water broke.
Oh, yeah, you were in labor. Okay.
You know, but there was no pain. And it was, 5 o'clock in the morning. And of course, your first thought is, I peed my pants. And then it turns out, no, I didn't. So that was good.
Because your water broke?
Yeah, because my water broke. Yeah. And there's no pain. And in my infinite wisdom, I'm thinking, well, I'll just keep sleeping, you know, and if it gets...
Did you wake me up or did you just roll over?
No, I rolled over. But then in the morning, you know, earlier than usual, I was like, jab, hey, you know, my water broke. And of course, you being the rational person that you are, you were like, oh, well, how about we call the doctor? I'm like, gee, thanks. So we called the doctor and the doctor was like, well, yeah, you should probably, you know, come into the hospital.
Because we had taken classes. Like we were, with the first kid, we took like formal Lamaze classes.
Right,
with the second kid, we were like, whatever.
Yeah.
He'll get here when he gets here.
So different with the second kid, yeah. You're seasoned by then.
Okay. And then I was like, we have to go to the hospital now. Like, we got to go. But you wanted to get a sandwich.
Yeah, I was hungry, you know, and there was a Subway not too far away from our house, which we could drive by.
People are going to judge us for eating Subway.
I know, because of course, you know,
it's not really bread.
Well,
did you hear about the whole bread Subway thing in Europe?
I heard about it.
It's cake.
Yeah.
It's actually got enough sugar. It's technically a cake. Anyway, we got a sandwich.
Yeah, but it's like, well, let's go eat. Who knows what's going to happen, you know, and how long I'll be in labor for. We should eat. And so, you know, infinite wisdom, we stopped and ate and then went to the hospital.
No, that's not the story.
What's the story?
You're in line at the Subway. Remember that the lady who owned the Subway, the franchisee owner, she had been pregnant too. We would see her, and we're always comparing bellies or whatever.
How are you doing? How far along?
And what I remember was you're in line, we're ordering the sandwich, and then you're starting to have a little bit of labor kind of a vibe. So I remember you kind of being like, can I get a... you know, wheat bread. You know what I mean? There was this little bit of urgency there. And the lady behind the counter was like, you need to go.
I do remember her saying, why are you here
Why
right
are you
now?
here? Like, there was just a certain look on her face where like,
you idiots, why are you here?
What 9.5 month pregnant? You know what I mean? You were like...
Well, I wasn't 9.5, but I was definitely 9.
You know, I was adding the half. I'm just pointing out that you were like imminent.
It was time.
You were imminently pregnant.
It was time. But anyway, yeah. So all those, lots and lots of memories after 20 years, I guess, is the point.
How do you last that long, though? Is it just ignoring the way I unload the dishwasher? Or, like, what is the fundamental thing?
Well, I think, first of all, you know, do you not see the halo? I'm bending my head so you can see the halo. Yes, so give me my due here. No, really, it's work, right? I remember... It is. And it's funny because I used to take issue when we're newlyweds, you know, like first year or so, and you'd be like, well, marriage is work. And I'm like, oh, it's an outrage. If you really love somebody, it shouldn't be work. It should be easy.
You did say that.
I did say that. And you were wise enough just to keep quiet and just kind of let me be. And then now...
I stand corrected.
I stand corrected, indeed, yeah. 20 years later, I'm like, oh, marriage is work.
Well, people are actually... One of these... You need to let me finish this book. We've got that freaking book.
My goodness. I knew you were going to bring the book up. Why do you bring the book up?
I've got 4 or 5 chapters done. I just need to quit my job and write this freaking book.
Oh, jeez.
No, but
every time. And beforehand, we agreed we weren't going to bring up the book. And you brought up the book.
I know. We'll finish the book when we're 50 years. Hey friends, you know how I love great podcasts, and I want you to check out the Code Newbie podcast. It's all about stories from folks on their coding journey. They talk to new developers, experienced developers, and everyone in between about how they got started learning to code, how they navigate their technical careers, and they also do deep dives into technical topics in a newbie-friendly way. Check out their podcast at www.codenewbie, that's NEWBIE.org/podcast. That's codenewbie.org/podcast. Actually, speaking of 50 years, my parents had their 48-year anniversary.
Yes.
So, okay, so that's kind of interesting,
awesome.
where we have this coincidence of like all these long marriages around us here. I've always thought that it was about avoiding resentment. Like, there's things I do that annoy you.
Yeah.
And Lord knows there's things you do that annoy me.
You're obviously wrong.
No, clearly. But as far as like deep-seated resentment,
yeah,
where there's like stuff that you've done that's annoyed me for 20 years, I don't really have that. It might just because I'm an idiot and I don't remember last week. But do you have any deep-seated fundamental resentment? Because I think that's the thing that you do is you don't hate the person.
Yeah.
For step one, don't hate the person you married.
Don't hate your spouse, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that tends to not go well if you hate them. Yeah, no, I mean, I still remember, like, one of the first things that we said was no drama, which, considering my family, we're all about the drama. So that was quite a statement to make. But, I mean, communication, right? I think that's been my biggest takeaway is figuring out how to communicate. And I know we've mentioned this before, that when most people see us, they see a black woman and a white guy, right? And that's not who we are. We are two different cultures. And that's more significant than the racial stuff, because for the longest time, if I was frustrated, I wouldn't say anything. I just would fume inside quietly. Well, not very quietly, and expect you to kind of read my mind.
The first 5 years of marriage, and by first 5, I would say the first 19, you would tend to like stew. And then I'd have to do the whole, what are you feeling? And you're like, well, if you don't know,
that's right.
I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell. Like, dude, I don't know. Like, if you don't tell me, I'm trying to remember what this fellow on TikTok said. I told you I was obsessed with TikTok lately.
Oh,
and there's this inspirational guy, and he was basically saying that if you hold resentment, like it's like if you don't tell people what you want, if you don't verbalize your expectations, you are preparing yourself for resentment.
Right. Right. Because people, turns out, are not psychic and they don't know what you want or what you're feeling, what you're going through if you don't put it out there.
So you simply have to tell them.
Yeah. Yeah. And listening, of course, it's all well and good for me to be talking to you. But the person I'm talking to has got to be listening. I mean, and forgiveness and a sense of humor. There's been a lot that goes into 20 years of making a relationship work. And it's not perfect every day. And I think the pandemic has shown that, when we look at the number of people that were together at the beginning of the pandemic and those that have split up, because all of a sudden you're stuck with this person. And it worked when there was escape possible from time to time. You went to work and, I went to work and then we could come together.
That's actually a good point.
But,
do you remember our first date, which was 2 weeks long? And somewhere in the second or third day, you literally, I think we were in Philadelphia, and you said, you're the first person I've spent more than 24 hours with that I didn't want to kill. Yeah. Yeah. You remember that?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I mean,
most people want to kill me after 18 hours.
Yeah, that's right. And it was interesting. This was an extended, we were traveling across the country together. So it was just an extended amount of contact for 2 weeks. That's a long time. I have siblings that I'm like, small doses, and then separate and, kind of thing.
But back to the resentment thing, like there's been times when I've been like, dude, you suck. Like, you know what I mean? And, like this morning. And, but I don't like, it's not like a deal breaker. It's not important with a capital I.
Right.
But I do mean it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you're ridiculous. Okay. You know what I mean? Like trying to get out the house on time.
And to be clear, the only reason why I'm still here is Trevor Noah has not made himself available. And, when that happens, go with God. I'll send for my kids later, but peace, I'm out.
I'm pretty sure he's got somebody.
Is he married? Oh gosh, that's horrible.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I'm saying that so that you won't.
No, okay, so I won't look into it.
I don't know.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's true. Resentment really will kill a relationship. So yeah.
Which is unsaid expectations.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think you and I were good about it. We stumbled on it, really. I don't think we actually did any studying research, but we stumbled on a lot of the fundamentals of what makes any relationship work, right? It's not necessarily just a marriage. I mean, it's with your coworkers, right? Communication, listening, all this stuff, and money for a marriage. Money was an important one for us, and I know we've talked before
about the allowance program. Yeah, people should go back, and I'll put in the show notes links to all the previous Mo episodes.
Mo episodes.
It wasn't just resentment. What was the other thing? Communication, resentment,
sense of humor, listening. The whole shebang.
Oh shoot! You said something a second ago, and I just lost it. But it was about.
You see, this is it. This is exactly my point. Are you even listening to me?
I know I am listening. But I was waiting for my turn to speak.
Oh, okay.
No. Thinking about things that make for successful relationships. There's resentment. There's expectations. But then also, don't stare at me like that. I'm literally thinking about.
I know you get
it was
pause,
it was gonna be perfect.
But you get to pause when I say that. Dude, do that. Yeah, you're horrible.
See, now I'm not going to edit this part out because.
Oh my goodness!
Because you're being mean, dude.
Let your people really know what Mo is like. Oh,
what Mo would I have to put up with? I was trying to think. God, it was some specific thing about relationships that we figured out early on.
Was it about money?
No, I think it was you somewhere 2002, 2003, and we were having a lowercase f fight, and you or me said,
Could go either way.
No, said, I'm on your side. Like, stop thinking that of the 8 billion people on the planet, I'm the one who's against you. Yeah. It's so much more likely that someone else is, but it's not me. Yeah. So whatever misunderstanding or whatever thing is going on. So 2021, goals to 2021.
Yeah, what do you got?
Well, there was this person on Twitter who said something stupid. It's just Twitter. They said, well, if you didn't take advantage of the quarantine to learn Chinese and make us, then you're not. What are you doing with all your spare time? And everyone else was lashing back on this person. They were like, if you survived 2020,
heck yeah.
If your kids are like an inch taller at the very, and made it through school, didn't flunk. That's killing it.
Yeah, you are killing it for 2020.
You're killing it.
Yep.
So, sure. Until things have gone back to remotely normal and the vaccine is working and I can go to the mall. Actually, honestly, when we go to the movies, and again, we're saying this from a U.S. perspective because other countries are back to normal.
Yeah.
When the U.S. goes back to normal, March, April, May, July, August.
Yeah, right.
That'll be my goal. So just, I don't know, lose a couple pounds and make it to the spring, to the new Marvel movies that are coming out in the spring.
What good are you taking from 2020? What have you learned that you're thinking, I'm going to continue to do this?
Oh, well, you and I really started doing our rings. For people who don't have Apple Watches, they have a step thing. Everyone does their 10,000 steps or whatever. The Apple Watch has a thing where you can, are you exercising? Are you standing? Are you doing this? We really started in earnest, I would say, somewhere in September. Mm-hmm. We do our Taekwondo twice a week. We walk every day. We close our rings every day. It hasn't changed anything about our weight in any way.
Yeah, at all.
But we have graphs to prove that we are, in fact, working out. I don't know why it's not working.
Yeah, right.
We're still eating our feelings.
Exactly. I love the fact that there's an explanation for it. Oh, Scott, you're having your fourth cone. Why? I'm eating my feelings. Yeah.
Well, a little ice cream never killed anyone.
Yeah, it's been hard. Yeah.
What are your goals for 2021?
Well, always joking with a friend of mine. I'm like, I'm going to say 2 push-ups. Then by the second, I'm like, nailed it. They're all done.
I think you can do 2 push-ups. You're not that bad.
Yeah, well, there's doing 2 push-ups and then there's doing them well, right? So
what about 20 push-ups? That'd be a goal.
Right. And the point really, I think for me, for a goal is something that's not going to be done on the first day of the year. So I can give myself a pass.
But at the time we do our 2021 wrap-up, you'll probably have a black belt in Taekwondo.
Yeah, that I'm really looking forward to that because it's hard work. I mean, and it's interesting that the level of commitment when you think about doing something twice a week. I mean, you have
or 3 times a week, like we were doing it before the pandemic.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't always 3 times a week.
Well, we alternate. Yeah,
it's been a minimum of twice a week, though, is what it is. It doesn't sound like a lot, but boy, those 2 times a week when you think about the time that you're giving up, the opportunity cost of that time, right? It could be reading, talking to the boys, or whatever, chatting with my sister.
Plus practice.
It starts to add up.
Tournaments.
And then, in tournaments and stuff. But I think there's going to be a real sense of pride to say we stuck with it. It's like anything, right? You go to college, you get a bachelor's degree after 4 years.
It is like a bachelor's degree.
Yeah, you persevere, you endure, and there'll be some good semesters and bad semesters, and some weeks where it's just like, why are we doing this? And then the next week we're back on kind of like, okay, this is important to us as a family. And so I think that'll be a big source of pride for me to have the 4 of us, because we're doing it with the boys. Yeah. And the never ending kick above your belt, Mo,
Gotta aim for the head, kick them in the head.
That's right.
And they can't lower their head. You have to
I know. I'm like, I'm
trying.
Yeah.
I never thought about the degree. It is like a degree because it's like 4+ years of doing this. It's like a bachelor's degree. And then of course our sensei, our master reminded us just last week, when you get your black belts, now you're started. Like now you've reached step 1.
Right.
Or step 0. Yeah, now it begins. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
No mastery here.
Yeah, exactly. So
that'll be nice for 2021.
It's all about humility. Yeah, so that will be nice.
Maybe we'll go to Spain.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as safe to do that and all that stuff, to learn and to continue to grow. And I think for me to do the things that I took for granted, I remember there were a lot of people that I wanted to see. That I kind of always thought, I'll make time to see them, be it visiting family members or hanging out with them, thinking, I want to grab lunch with so-and-so, but, I'll do that over the summer, or I'll do that when I'm not as busy. And then this happens. And again, we're back to relationships, right? And figuring out what's important in life. And you realize tomorrow really isn't promised. So you don't know that so-and-so is going to be available at your convenience or what the situation will be. So I think I want to kind of do a seize the day type of things where family is concerned and friends are concerned, and, tell people that you do appreciate them because they help get you through the difficult times and all that stuff.
Well, as we wrap up, by the time folks have listened to this, it'll either be the 31st of December or it'll be into the first week of January. You'll probably, as a COVID nurse, have your second vaccine shot and hopefully be okay, and it'll be working great.
Yep.
And I'm sure I'm 25 millionth in line, for getting ours and the boys and stuff like that. But we hope we're hopeful it will be a good thing and it will work well.
Yes. Yeah.
And we hope that everyone else on the other side of this microphone is healthy and well.
Yeah. Take care of yourselves and take care of each other.
This has been another episode of Hansel Minutes, and we'll see you again next week.